In the opening scene of the movie, we see a train passing through a desert. A young man named Virgil is shown on the train. In Virgil's compartment, a woman is sitting with her child. Both appear very poor and hungry. A little later, the train stops at a place. Before leaving, Virgil gives the woman half of his bread. The place where Virgil stops looks quite deserted. He had booked a car in advance, but the car hasn't arrived yet. So, Virgil goes to the only shop present there and asks the shopkeeper about the restroom. The shopkeeper replies in the local language. Virgil doesn't understand what he says, but guesses the direction and moves forward. Luckily, he finds the restroom further ahead. The restroom is in terrible condition, but since there's no other option, he uses it. After some time, the driver of the car calls out to him. In the next scene, Keith and Virgil are shown heading toward a place called the compound. The two argue briefly over the fare. The driver demands a much higher price than what was initially agreed upon, and since Virgil is new to the place, he has no choice but to agree. After a while, due to the heat, Virgil tries to turn on the AC, but Keith refuses, saying it will blow the engine and could cause it to shut down. After traveling for some time, the car's tire gets punctured. Virgil helps Kit change the tire. Meanwhile, they notice two dogs fighting nearby. One of the dogs is badly injured. Keith scares one of the dogs away and puts the severely injured dog out of its misery with a quick death. After changing the tire, they continue toward their destination. As night falls and darkness covers the area, they decide to stop for the night. During their conversation, the driver asks Virgil why he's going to the compound, as very few people go there. Virgil explains that he got a life-changing job opportunity and is going there to start a new life. The next morning, they set off again. This time, Virgil is driving while Keith rests. Seeing that Keith is asleep, Virgil turns the AC on, but this puts pressure on the engine and the car breaks down. As soon as Keith realizes what Virgil has done, he scolds him harshly. While Keith fixes the engine, Virgil wanders around nearby. Not far from the truck, he notices strange-looking stones. When he goes closer to inspect them, he realizes they're not stones. They're gold. He immediately calls Keith over. Keith says that if the stone turns black when burned, then it's not gold, just a regular stone. However, after lighting it with a lighter, the stone doesn't change color, confirming it's real gold. The two then try to dig the gold out, but the piece is massive and buried deep in the ground. Despite their efforts, they can't even move it. Next, they tie a rope around it and try pulling it out with the car, but this method also fails. By the time they're done trying, evening sets in. Keith warns Virgil that wild dogs are a danger in this area, so they gather sticks to light a fire. As they sit by the fire, they reflect on how their fortunes have suddenly changed. Keith, overwhelmed with joy, starts dancing. After some time, Keith tells Virgil that since they can't extract the gold alone, they'll need help. Keith tells Virgil that he knows some people in the city who can lend them digging equipment. However, one of them will have to go to the city to bring the machine back. Keith suggests that Virgil should go since he isn't used to the harsh environment and might not survive alone in the desert. But Virgil refuses, saying he's new to the city and doesn't know anyone there. He insists he's strong enough to stay behind and guard the gold. The next morning, Keith leaves Virgil with necessary supplies, including a satellite phone, and tells him it might take up to 5 days to return with the digging machine. After Keith leaves, Virgil sets up camp by tying a tent to a tree. He gathers firewood for the night, eats dinner, but soon hears the howls of wild dogs. Nervously, he clutches a knife and stays alert. The next morning, Virgil wakes up exhausted. He goes to relieve himself, but realizes there's barely any water left to wash up. As he's thinking about this, his phone rings. Before he can answer, the call drops. Nearby, he spots the wreckage of an old airplane and considers using it as shelter. However, since the gold is buried far from the plane, he only takes some parts back to his tent. Later, exhausted, he falls asleep inside the tent. When he wakes up, he realizes his face is sunburnt. Sitting near the gold, he talks to himself, trying to figure out how to break a piece off. He gets an idea. Using a rock, he manages to chip off a small but heavy chunk of gold. Just then, Keith calls and informs him that the car's engine is acting up, so there might be a delay in bringing the digging machine. Virgil excitedly tells Keith about breaking off a piece of gold. Keith warns him to stay vigilant and promises to return as soon as possible. That night, Virgil sits near the gold, keeping a fire burning to scare away wild dogs. They circle closer, forcing him to wave a torch to keep them at bay. The next morning, he drinks from his water container but notices a snake slithering toward him. He tries to kill it, but the snake escapes. In the struggle, he spills most of his remaining water. Later, Virgil returns to the airplane wreckage to gather more parts for shelter. Suddenly, he spots a stranger approaching. He hides inside the wreckage, but the stranger, revealed to be a woman, finds him and demands that he come out. She claims the plane is her hiding spot and questions why he's there. Virgil refuses to answer. The woman offers him food and water, but Virgil declines, making her suspicious. She keeps probing, asking what he's hiding. Frustrated, Virgil gets up to leave, telling her not to interfere. But then she spots his temporary shelter. Enraged, she starts tearing it down, yelling at him to either tell the truth or leave. Virgil, consumed by greed and rage, kills the woman. He takes whatever supplies she had and buries her body nearby. However, a wild dog soon digs up the corpse and starts eating it. Horrified, Virgil chases the dog away and drags the woman's body further and sets it on fire. As he does this, tears stream down his face. Perhaps, for a brief moment, his humanity resurfaces. The next morning, Keith calls, informing Virgil that he's secured the digging machine but will take longer to return because it's heavy. Virgil breaks down crying, and Keith reassures him, urging him to hold on a little longer. Later, Virgil spots a passing truck, but refuses to leave, unwilling to abandon the gold. That night, as he gathers firewood, a sandstorm approaches. He tries to take shelter, but the wind tears apart his temporary camp. A tree branch impales his stomach, leaving him severely injured. When the storm clears, he finds himself half buried in sand, the branch still stuck in his abdomen. Despite the intense pain, his greed overpowers him. He ignores his injury and desperately searches for the gold. Once he finds it, he pulls the branch out, losing a significant amount of blood. To sterilize the wound, he heats a can lid and burns the wound shut. Then, he collapses unconscious, his face covered in sand. When he regains consciousness, a woman stands before him, holding a bow. For a moment, Virgil mistakes her for the woman he killed. This new stranger gives him water before silently leaving. Virgil, disoriented, wonders if he hallucinated her. Then, Keith calls again, saying he's almost there. Virgil, desperate, pleads for him to hurry. But as soon as the call ends, the woman reappears, offering help. Virgil, still obsessed with the gold, refuses, afraid she might steal it. Before leaving, she asks if he's seen her missing sister, the very woman he murdered. Virgil stays silent. Soon, a pack of wild dogs surrounds him. Terrified, he calls Keith one last time, begging him to come faster. Keith assures him he's almost there, but as the dogs attack, Virgil, in his final moments, keeps his eyes fixed on the gold, unwilling to let go until the dogs kill him. But Keith was already there. He was waiting for Virgil to die, so that he can devour all the gold. After Virgil dies, Keith comes near his body. As he steps out of his truck, an arrow suddenly strikes him in the chest. Before dying, Keith tries to see who shot him, but there's no one in sight. The unseen archer is the woman from earlier. After realizing Virgil's guilt and discovering the gold, she had been watching from a distance. Seeing Keith arrive, she assumed he was just as greedy and dangerous. Seizing her chance, she delivered justice for her sister's murder. With this, the story ends. A grim tale of greed, desperation, and the consequences of uncontrolled madness. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.